Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Let's take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Welcome back, everybody, in podcast land. We're good to have you back again. And I think we have a good show today. Alex,
Yes.
What's on tap for today?
Yeah, we have some really neat things we're going to talk about. First thing we're going to talk about our friend and yours, Anthony Mackie, the Falcon. We're also going to talk about covers of comics that are kind of idealized by the movies. So stuff that was, a shot taken from the movie that's right from the pages of comics. And then let's talk about third printings, because a lot of times people are like, third printings, I don't want it. But there's some really rare third printings out there.
Yes. And we're starting a new segment today.
Yes.
Called Alex's Pick of the Week, which we'll get to.
Yes.
It could be a random item that Alex wants to get into. So we hope you enjoy that aspect as well. Great. So, Alex, let's kick us off. What's the first topic?
Let's talk Falcon.
Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
Yeah, so Anthony Mackie, obviously, Juilliard grad. He's been in tons and tons of films.
Roommates with Adam Driver. Did you know that?
That's right. Yes, I actually did know that. His manager did tell me that. Both very accomplished, both great actors, both have had great careers, not just in the franchises that they're in, Star Wars and MCU, but in other films as well. So The Falcon really has 3 books that are important to the character. I think one of the books pertains to the new TV series that's going to be on the Disney Plus network. So we hope to see that soon. And so let's take a look at them in order. In 1969, Captain America number 117 came out.
Yep. It's
a very, very rare high-grade book.
Yes.
That book is 50 years old at this point. And, you're really not looking at 9/8 on those books, Alex. You're really looking at something more along the lines of a 9/2 in terms of picking up a copy like that. I know that we typically talk blue labels, yellow labels, 9/8. But that has obviously the first appearance of the Falcon.
Yep.
And in 9.2, that book will set you back about $1,400.
Yep.
Those books from that era are not particularly rare. They're just rare and high grade, right? So you'll be able to find a nice 9.2 copy. $1,400 is not terrible. Obviously, with the new TV series coming out, that's going to be a book that people are looking at. Okay, Alex. And then the second series that's interesting to look at is the 1983 Falcon number 1. Not a highly acclaimed series. 9.8 blue label, 5 9.8 yellow labels, about $115. Again, I don't know that people are going to be looking for that one because I don't know its tie-in storyline to the Disney Plus series. Now, here's the one that I like. Sam Wilson, Captain America, which, spoiler alert, end of the film. Yeah. He first appears as Captain America in all new Captain America number 1 from late 2014. To me, that's the book you should be looking at. Now, listen, nobody knows what's going to happen in the series, but obviously it takes from the MCU. So my feeling is that that's the book to buy. There's only 47 9.8 blue labels, 3 9.8 gold labels, and you could buy the book for $50, $60, $75. To me, I would, if I was going to take a chance, that's the book I would take a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's if you're looking at the way the TV shows are going to run on Disney Plus. I mean, these are their bread and butter. If it's anything like Mandalorian, it's going to be fantastic and super popular. So I think taking a chance on something that cheap and a graded comic, because I mean that's really just grading fees, $50, $60. I mean, and all that shipping and everything. So it's a good chance.
Right. So that kind of caps it off for the Falcon because there really are only 3 books to take a look at. Okay, so Alex, I'm going to turn the tables a little bit on you. What is your pick of the week?
Yeah, so, a lot of times I'll pick random stuff. I mean, I'm into posters and action figures and comics and old stuff, new stuff. Something neat that came out this week from DC is the Green Lantern 80th anniversary 100-page spectacular, the blank cover. The blank cover, which a lot of comics have blank covers. You can take them to conventions and get sketches on. This is a green Blink cover. The whole book.
Oh, I saw that. That looks cool.
Yeah.
That looks
so,
cool.
I mean,
I saw that.
When you get head sketches at shows, I mean, every Blink cover looks the same. You get a head sketch, black Sharpie, quick head sketch, boom. But now it's on a green book. How easy is it to get a head sketch and it's automatically colored? They can do ring constructs. They can do all kinds of fun stuff with the book. I think that's a fun one to get. Blank covers always kind of go up a little bit in value, especially for books that people like. This is a one-off book. They're not going to be a billion. There's not going to be 80th anniversary, 100 Spectacular #2. It's over. It's one book. I think these are a fun book to have. I could see them definitely getting, when con season opens back up, at least $10 raw, and get them signed, get them sketched, and CGC them. They're fun.
Do you plan on having an artist sign it, sketch on it, or is it something you have
I buy
in mind?
them? Yeah, I buy sketch covers all the time, and I get artists to do head sketches. A lot of times of the characters in the book, sometimes not. I'm a Tintin fan, so I get a lot of like artists do their rendition of Tintin. So
it's interesting. I don't know that I'd be sharing that information with the fans out there, Alex.
Well, the Europeans will know what I mean. Most Americans.
I know what you mean. I still don't know that I'd be sharing that.
Yeah. Well, that's the book. That's my pick of the week. It's a cool looking book.
That's cool. I was trying to think if I was going to have a Green Lantern sketch, it would probably have to be Neil Adams, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I wonder who else we could come up with.
As a 90s, early 2000s baby, Daryl Banks, who did all the
Daryl Banks for
stuff.
Sure,
and he's a fantastic artist.
Okay, I like that, Alex. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our new segment. Great. Okay, what do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk about iconic movie covers. So there's a lot of movie covers out there that, it's scenes taken from the comics that they put into movies.
So I'm surprised that these books haven't seen a bigger increase.
Agreed.
A big surprise was when the Iron Spider costume.
Yep.
When Tom Holland put on the Iron Spider costume. And then, when you look at that book today, it hasn't really skyrocketed. I mean, it's gone up.
Yeah.
And I just wondered to myself, like, that's such a classic scene.
It smells like a new car in here.
When you think of like the classic scenes, like the airport hangar scene in Civil War,
mm-hmm.
There's a cover for that. They really took some iconic cover moments. They really taken some iconic moments from the books and put them on the screen. And for me, they're fun to have. I see, because we work with all the artists at all the celebrities at the ACE Comic-Con shows. I do see those books sort of come across the desk, and the celebrities sign them. To me, those are like the most fun books to get signed by the celebrities, right? So let's take a look at the first one. Avengers 220, speaking of the airport hangar scene.
Yeah.
223 from 1982 Avengers. There are 101 blue label 9.8s, 14 yellow label 9.8s. That is really the Civil War airport scene when Ant-Man shrinks down to size, and Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye fires him away.
Yeah.
Talk about that scene a little bit from the film.
I mean, first of all, having them in the movie and knowing it was Civil War, you're more expecting things from the Marvel Comics Civil War comic. And when that scene happened and Ant-Man jumps up on the arrow, and I mean, I know my poor fiance, because I know her elbows were very bruised, because I was like, that's the thing. And she worked in the comic store too, so she understood it. But I mean, that was like, wow, that's so cool. Like in this scene that's already crazy when you have your superheroes fighting, that was like, it's such fan service, but in a good way.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we've had Renner at our shows.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd has done other events. Selfishly, I did get one done for myself.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it was a great cover by Ed Hannigan and Klaus Janson. Classic. And it captures the moment. But I will say in the film, they really did capture that moment. And that to me is one of my favorite ones. The next one is something that we also just talked about, was the Iron Spider. Yeah. That was in Avengers Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
And that again, great scene, came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting to see the Iron. By the way, I would read all the little nuggets online about this and that. No one ever said Iron Spider. Never heard of it. Never saw it.
Lock.
Totally under lock and key.
Greatly, yes.
So Amazing Spider-Man number 529 from 2006. What's interesting about that is, even back in 2006, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you remember that was a big deal back in 2006? When that book came out, I was like, whoa, cool costume. Nobody would have thought, 14, 15 years later it would have been on the big screen. But I will tell you, the audience gasped. Did you do the elbow thing again?
I told you, her poor arms, so bruised.
You gave her the shove?
Yeah. Look at that. It's the thing. Yeah.
It's funny. So there are, believe it or not, 1,189 blue label 9.8s, 102 yellow label 9.8s. There are actually 3 9.9s. And in a 9.8, that book only sells for $100 to $125. But I will say, when Tom Holland has come to our events, that is another book that you always see copies of that book getting signed by Tom.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you go see Tom at a future event, to me, that's the book I would have him sign next.
And again, that's a good price.
Yeah, it's not even that crazy.
Yeah.
Not even crazy. So the next one is from 2011, Avengers number 12. Mm-hmm. That's where Iron Man is wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. Very underrated book. Yeah. Very, very tough to find. There are only 28 blue label 9.8s, only 4 yellow label 9.8s. The last one sold for $250 in 9.8, but it's already a 9-year-old book. You can't really find these books. It's not a book at the time. It's not a book, unlike the Spider-Man 529. That was one of those scenes where Iron Man wearing the gauntlet is nothing you would have ever predicted, quite frankly, until you saw the last few minutes of the film. You wouldn't have even known that. It was like, who's going to get it? And so again, that cover out of nowhere, can't find it. And Alex, I have a pretty good memory of the books hitting the shelves and coming out, opening the boxes. I don't know why. I always remember opening the boxes. And I don't remember that book. But that's how obscure that book was at the time.
Yeah. I mean, that was the heroic age era of Marvel. And, for a while it was like 12 issues. Okay. Reboot it. New number 1. 13 issues. Okay. Reboot it. New number 1. They're trying to pull that back now, but that Avengers title was one of those, a title had just ended. There was another one. I think Avengers Academy was going on then. Dark Avengers might have still been going on. So there's a lot of Avengers books also. So it's not like there was just one Avengers book everybody was collecting. And by 12, you're looking, the new series was probably already announced, and that book went away. But beautiful cover. I mean, the colors on that thing.
Yeah, that's it. It is a beautiful cover. And I will say this. Maybe it's because Robert has never done a sit-down signing, or you can't really get him to sign it for signature series. But I'm telling you, if he ever did do a signature series, to me, that would be the cool one to have done. Right. I mean, certainly Brolin, had I known now what I know then, I would have had Brolin sign it. That would have been very cool, because to me, when you think of the franchise, the MCU and all the films and everything, I mean, when you think of the classic moments, which we just talked about, the hangar scene, the Iron Spider scene, that's right up there. Iron Man wearing the glove, that's,
if not number 1, top 5.
If not number 1,
yeah.
Right? If not number 1.
Not number 1.
And for that book to be even $250 to me is
not bad.
So this next one is a very interesting one, Alex. This was a book that was nobody cared about. What If, not a series that people particularly collected. They announced Thor 4, Natalie Portman's got the hammer, and this book exploded.
Yep.
Exploded. So What If, number 10, from 1978. So, a 42-year-old book. What if Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor? Now, I don't know if they lifted the storyline or they just lifted the cover or whatever it is, but this book is on fire. There are 108 9.8s, blue labels. There are 4 yellow labels. The book is a $700 to $800 book, which, quite frankly, still seems cheap to me. Because now maybe it's interesting, because we talked about this last week. Sometimes the cover is reflective of the interior, and sometimes it's not. So, Alex, what also makes this book very special is it's also an homage cover. And they were, nowadays it's much more common. You see it very often. But this was an homage cover to the first appearance of Thor in Journey into Mystery 83. So I think all of those elements, the homage cover, the first time she's got the hammer, it's the cover, not just the storyline involved. I don't even know if it matters if the storyline follows. I just think that the image has become plastered in people's brains.
Yeah.
And it's a book that even at $750 to $800, I think is totally worth it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And weirdly enough, with the What If comic series when they first was coming out, I mean, if you look back and look at each book, most of them have actually been storylines in the main comic series now anyways. It's just ideas that they can use. And a lot of that stuff they're using in the main comic book stories are being turned into MCU movies. So it might not be a bad idea to look at some other What If comics.
Come on, Alex,
stuff.
Spill the beans.
Yeah,
Spill the beans.
I would get some more What Ifs in higher grade if you can, because you never know when they're going to hit again. And I think they're going to hit more. So.
We're gonna revisit this at a future show, and I want you to make some predictions.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to hear your predictions. I don't want after the fact. I want
I think What If #1 could be a possibility in the future. But that's all I'm going to say. That's What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four.
Whoa. You're really putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there.
It's 50-50. I can't. I mean, it's good odds.
Does Chris Evans play the Human Torch?
Maybe.
That would imagine that, right? Imagine
Chris he comes back just to play Human Torch.
Could you imagine? Or like the dad?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Yes.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Fans would go absolutely bonkers.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. So talk to me before we get into the next book. Talk a little bit, because there was definitely some chatter about this when the film came out. Talk a little bit about Planet Hulk and Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I mean, the Planet Hulk, at the end of Age of Ultron, spoilers, the movie, Hulk gets in a ship and he's, tells everybody, I can't do this, I'm heading away. In the comics, the Illuminati tell Hulk that he is too dangerous. They put him on a ship and shoot him into space. When the ship lands, he lands on a war planet, just like we see in Ragnarok, and he becomes this gladiator who kills everybody and is the best gladiator because he's the Hulk. What you saw at the end of Age of Ultron and then what we got in Thor Ragnarok, you couldn't have been any better and couldn't have been just straight out of the comics. Him in the gladiator shield with that helmet, when you see Hulk for the first time in Thor Ragnarok, I mean, that's that cover.
Oh my! First of all, that scene in Ragnarok was ridiculous.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Obviously, with the classic line from Hemsworth, he's a friend from work. So we see Planet Hulk in Hulk 92 from 2006. That's the Greg Pak story.
Yeah. Great Hulk
so he's very well known for that.
Yeah.
All right. So the Hulk 92 has two different covers. The Jose Ladrone cover, regular cover, is 299 Blue Label 9.8s with 49 9.8 yellows.
Mm-hmm.
And the variant cover has 48 9.8 blue labels and 9 yellow labels. And the regular cover sells for about $100, $125 or so. The variant is maybe $125 to $150. But I will say this. Again, if you have an opportunity to meet Mark Ruffalo, that's a perfect signature series book for Mark Ruffalo if you've seen him at the shows. We haven't had Mark yet. I know he has done a couple of shows, so I don't know how many are out there, but that would definitely be a book that you'd want to have Mark sign.
Agreed.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so why don't you talk to us a little bit about Civil War #7?
Yeah, I mean, these books, when they were coming out, it was a pretty big deal, and the end of Civil War, the miniseries, had an effect on the comic book Marvel universe still till about this day. I think they fixed some things. But, Iron Man versus Captain America, one ideology versus the other, it was a pretty big deal. When this miniseries came out, people liked it. It was good, it affected the Marvel universe in comic world. But when they announced the movie and that was the title, I mean, those books went crazy. People were picking them up left and right, #1s, #2s, #3s, and #7 specifically, that cover that I think one of the best scenes in the movie, I mean, other than the hangar scene, is that the Iron Man shooting Captain America and holding the shield that scene and that cover of that comic it's still iconic. It's still an iconic movie.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there's so many comics that are etched in my mind.
Yeah.
Punisher #10, but that happened in the TV series.
Yeah.
The Captain America Wolverine cover, but they never met.
Yeah.
In the films.
Not yet.
When I see, I know that's true. Whenever I see those covers, I kind of like visualize like, wow, let's say it was Chris Evans against Hugh Jackman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always wonder like, what if they actually pulled that off? So it does impress me from time to time when they actually do get to pull it off. And then I think to myself, man, those covers were great. I wish they were able to pull this off or that off. Yeah, interesting one. So on Civil War #7, which came out in 2007, the sketch, the regular cover has 352 blue labels, 9.8, 149 yellow label 9.8s. The sketch one of the Turner cover, Michael always did an amazing job on those. 198 blue labels, 69 yellow labels with 9.9. Then the color variant, which is also Turner, he did the color and the sketch one. There's 333 blue labels with 121 9.8 yellow labels. So the regular versions are about $50 or so. So they really don't have a premium. The sketch versions are about $100. Even the signed ones by Turner today still only sell for $150 to $200. Mike signed a lot of books. Yeah. We've talked about that in the past. Yeah. He would stay at the table for hours and hours and hours and I don't know that I've ever seen him turn a fan away if the fan had a comic book for him to sign. I've never seen anything like it. Literally, I've never seen. I never saw it before him, and I never saw it after him. So, were you at any of those shows that Michael was at?
No, never got to one.
Never got to one, huh?
Never did it.
I got to tell you, this guy was magical. Had an aura about him, and signed for everybody, and would not leave the table until every single person got an autograph. So, Exiles #2 from 2018 has Valkyrie on the Horse by Marquez, and there's only 12 blue labels and 1 yellow label. And that book is only about $100. But again, if you're going to meet Tessa, I have 12 blue labels. That's the one I'm getting.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yep.
And then she does appear again on the horse on the cover of issue #9. Again, only 13 blue labels with 1 yellow label, and that's the Razak cover. I think that's a 1 in 25 variant. And that book's about $125. Again, if you're going to see Tessa at a future event, that's the one you'd want her to sign.
Yeah, I mean, it's her. It's her character. That book, Exiles from Marvel, essentially the book is a group of heroes that are taken from alternate realities. It's not all the same characters. It's not the same Wolverine. It's different Wolverine from a different reality. So this is literally the MCU Tessa Thompson Valkyrie. That's the character in this book.
Exactly. That right to me, like that's the one.
That's it.
That's the one you want to have her sign. Okay, so for the fans out there, obviously we touched on some of them today. If you feel we've missed any important ones, listen, we don't have a monopoly on all the information in the world. Yeah. Feel free to leave us in the comments and say, hey, you guys missed this one or that one, and we'll take it up at a future event. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and guys, if you want to put in the comments one of your favorite comic covers that are movie scenes, if it's Civil War, if it's Avengers 12. If it's the Hawkeye and Ant-Man, put that in the comment section, and randomly next week we'll pick a winner and we'll send you some gifts. How about that, Stephen? Does that work for you?
Love it. We've got a lot of exclusive. We got a lot of exclusives from our Ace Comic Con archives.
Yeah.
So we'd love to share it with you. So any input, quite frankly, if you give us any good input that we like, we'll send you a free comic.
That's it.
Great. All right, Alex. What do we have? What's our final topic for the day?
It's our third topic, so it's a good idea to talk about third prints.
Huh, interesting.
Because, a lot of times, and we've talked about in the past, multiple printings of comics can sometimes be looked at as something that's not worth it, or I don't want it, I want the first print. But there's some third prints out there that are hot.
Absolutely. So some of them basically don't exist in CGC land. So we, if you can dig through boxes, because I've got to tell you, some of these at this point will have been overlooked. I think the most important one, there's 3 in particular that are very important. Mm-hmm. The first one is The Walking Dead #116. That book, I believe, was pulped, and the word pulped means that it was printed for release, never actually fully released, and some few copies sort of squeezed out somehow, and copies got destroyed, or copies never got released, or whatever. And we've heard stories of that over the years. From time to time, these books will come up for auction. You get a comp box in the office, somebody takes it, somebody takes it home, they stick it in their box. 5 years later, they pull it out and they go, "Oh, let me go put this online." And all of a sudden, a book that no one's ever seen before hits the eBay world. So the legend goes with Walking Dead number 116. Just so you know, it came out in 2014. It's a third print. There are 15 9.8 blue labels and 17 9.8 yellow labels. And you say, well, how could that be? The last one sold for almost $3,000. Now, obviously, Walking Dead have a lot of completist collectors. Yep. There are collectors out there that need to have each and every variant of each and every book. Mm-hmm. So the story that we've heard is that Charlie Adler was signing at a comic book shop in London.
Infinity and Beyond, I believe. It says local. Yep. Local
shop. And the store had gotten 25 copies of each, I guess, of that particular issue for the signing. So Charlie went ahead and signed these books that day. As it turns out, the book never got released.
Right.
And that small shipment that went to that shop was only in that shop at that day, at that moment in time. So the belief is that there's about 50 copies in existence, 50, and that 32 of them got created simply because they had been shipped to the shop that particular day and time for Charlie to sign them. So whether the myth is true or not true, or the legend is true or not true, the book is impossible to find, and you can expect to pay about $3,000 for that title.
Yeah. That's a good one. Third prints, multiple printing in comics is hard. I mean, sometimes the comic company like Marvel, DC, Image, they don't know necessarily they have a hit on their hands until the book's out. And you'll see this a lot of times with Miss Marvel, with Spider-Gwen, Walking Dead. And a lot of times the companies can only go back to print on a second, third, fourth, fifth print. They have to do that quick. The retailers have to order it. They have to put their numbers into the printer. The printer has to make them, send them out, and all within a small bubble where if I order these now and they're not going to come for 3 weeks, is someone still going to be interested in this book? So it's very tough. And I think a lot of times with the third printings and later printings is they get the printer to make them. When they send them out to retailers to order, retailers are just like, I have enough already. I don't think it's hot anymore. I have enough second printings. I'm good to go. And if stores aren't ordering them, they'll just pulp them. They'll just get rid of them.
So when you were at Midtown, what was the thinking behind the third printing order?
Midtown always orders books no matter what. I mean, they're never not going to order a book, no matter if it's third printing, fourth printing, or fifth printing. But when you order something, let's say it's Walking Dead 116, and I don't know the number of how many they ordered. Let's say they ordered 100. Second prints, if there's any in the shelf, maybe they'll order 25% of that. If there's none, they'll order the same amount. So when you're looking at first printing versus second printing versus third printing, when you're looking at third prints and you have 50 copies on the shelf, you got 50 copies of the second printing coming, and you're ordering third prints, you maybe want to order like 5, maybe, just for your Walking Dead completists. But I think a lot of that has something to do with what stock you have. And this is where we see where, they had a third printing and they were like, oh, the stores don't need it. We made enough second printings for them. So they got rid of it.
So the next one is, everyone's been speculating about the Venom movie, who the characters are going to be in it, which star, which villain, which this, which that, Shriek, Carnage, this one, that one. We don't really know. So the new character appeared in Venom 3 from 2018. The third print has a null cover, K-N-U-L-L, and the first full appearance.
Yeah.
It's a Donny Cates story. Now, even though there are 416 blue labels, 9/8s, and 58 yellow label 9/8s, are you sitting down? The book is still selling for $1,000. So there must be rampant speculation that this character is going to appear in the film, Alex.
Yeah. I think a lot of times and we've talked about this a little bit in the past as well, with multiple printing covers, sometimes it's just the same cover with different colors on it. So it's, the logo's brown, the logo's pink, the logo's neon green. Stuff like this, it's a brand new cover, so it's new art. It's art that people haven't seen in another comic, and that's where you're going to get those third, fourth, second printings, the high in the first appearance market.
Yes, and speaking of just different colors, let's get into the Hulk 377.
Yeah.
Which has that sort of green background with that purple logo. For whatever reason, that book is impossible to find. There are 8 9.8 blue labels, 0 yellow labels. Even in a 9.0, those books are $400 to $500. I can't even imagine what a 9.8 would sell for. There's only 8 in existence. That book was very hot. I think it's not, they printed a lot of copies of the first print, less copies of the second print, but maybe by the time they got to the third print, it petered out because for whatever reason, that book is really, really hard to find, especially in any high grades. So, you know, that book was not necessarily a scarce book, but I do think the third print is very, very scarce.
Yeah.
And again, $400 to $500 in just a 9.0. I don't know how you find a 9.8 or what it would even cost you to get one.
Yeah, that's. I mean, those are specialty shops. I mean, you're not getting those off the newsstand, theoretically. So.
And when people do think of the modern age Hulk, they do think of Dale Keown.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And Peter David's run. I mean, everything that's like Hulk related from after the Stan Lee original series, it's Peter David's run. That's where you get the mythos from.
Absolutely. And then the last book I want to talk about is the Robin #1.
Yes.
Those newsstand versions, those third printings, whatever, they are impossible. The Robin #1 third print, there are 0 blue, 0 yellows, and only 1 9.6.
Wow.
So again, by the way, I don't even know how you'd find one.
You hope to. That's one of those things that maybe a store went out of business in the late 90s, and hopefully you bought their store stock and there's just a couple pieces of it.
You know, I get the Mile High newsletter, and Chuck Rosansky's like, "Oh, I just bought 50,000 comic books in 500 bucks." You know what? There's probably like in there. It's probably it's probably where they turn up one day.
Yeah, and he'll get to it in 20 years after he's gone through the millions of other stuff that he's bought.
No, oh my God! When he takes those pictures, my God, I don't even know where he puts everything.
It gives me nightmares. It gives me like old job nightmares of picking
PTSD.
Up That's it. PTSD. Yeah, 100%.
That's great. Well, like we said, for the fans out there, if you have any comments or feedback, if you give us anything good or juicy, we're going to send you a free comic from one of our exclusives from one of our events. They're actually pretty collectible. So we only printed, I think, 3,000 copies or so.
There's not many left
of each one of those. They were just for VIPs in many cases. So, so you'll get one of those if you participate. Alex, it was a wonderful show today. I like your new segment. Very
Always
good.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Very good. And is that it?
That's it. We got it. We got it all on.
So I guess we will see everybody.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.